like to call to order this meeting of the Raleigh City Council. First, we have the invocation. Unfortunately, Pastor Sean Park is not feeling well, so I'm going to ask Mayor Pro Tem Branch to do our invocation for us.
All right, let us pray. Jesus, I ask that your spirit comes in the midst of our city hall chamber today, Lord. I ask that you continue to watch over our city and watch over those that protect us. Lord, let us do your work and your will to the betterment of remembering the least of these and taking care of them. Lord, please be with the family of the 7-year-old that was recently shot, Lord. Make sure that she grows up and heals and well and can give back to this beautiful city of ours, Lord. And just ask you to protect us and watch over us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Mr. Thompson, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have 2 items today. One is a certificate of appointment for Alexander Thomas Moore. And Mr. Moore has agreed to accept appointment by the Raleigh City Council to serve a 4-year term on the Civil Service Commission as the employee elected representative. So thank you so much for your willingness to do that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right,
Okay. And then we have something very special. I'm going to ask, I don't know if Kate Pierce is here, Ainsley Powell, Carolyn Billings, if y'all want to just come up front. So nearly every council meeting, we talk about Dorothea Dix Park. And my fellow council members and staff know how passionate I am about the park and the vision that's been laid out in the master plan. It's a place that I believe has the ability to transform individual lives, and with the help of each of you, the ability to transform the entire community. Honoring the history and legacy of place is a key priority identified in the Dorothea Dix Park Master Plan. Understanding the layered history of the site not only informs and enriches the plans for the future, but contributes to our understanding of how to become a more empathetic, compassionate, and empowered city. So for quite some time now, we've been working with 2 families, the Simon and Billings family, to secure 2 historically significant items from Dorothea Dix's life, which we have with us today. So this framed image of Dorothea Dix with the accompanying letter dated January 1854 to the 13th President of the United States, Millard Fillmore, and there's also an accompanying book of transcribed letters between Dorothea Dix and Millard Fillmore. So they wrote a lot. And there is a copy of that letter also in this book. Donations like this one not only help us tell the story, but also ensures that we're stewards of the site's history. Dix Park will be a place that is authentic and mindful of its past, a place where people can come together in remembrance and reflection. But it's also a place to explore, to celebrate, to have fun, and learn and grow as individuals and as a community. Ms. Billings, thank you for these donations. I know they have held a special place in your heart personally and professionally. They're just incredible, and we look forward to displaying them and sharing them with the public for generations to come.
all right. Fantastic.
And we both went to the Medical College of Virginia. That's the important connection.
All right.
Okay, Madam Clerk, Ms. Mandel is absent and excused for today's meeting. And this takes us on to the consent agenda. I do not have any items listed to be pulled. Are there any items anyone who wishes to pull from consent?
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that takes us on to report and recommendation of the Planning Commission.
We'll start with a brief recap of what's currently calendared for public hearing. There's 3 zoning cases to be heard the afternoon of October 15th, and we have a total of 6 items for November 6th already calendared, which include a joint hearing with the Historic Development Commission, 2 text changes to zoning conditions, and 3 zoning cases. 1 item currently calendared for public hearing on December 3rd. So we have only 1 item up from the report of Planning Commission this week, and it is a text change, TC 819, proposes to create a use classification, a specific parking standard for shopping centers equal to 1 vehicle space per 350 square foot of gross floor area. For developments that meet the definition of shopping center, this would essentially allow tenants to change and turn over without there being any change in required parking. Planning Commission has reviewed this text change and unanimously recommended approval, and staff has recommended a potential public hearing date of October 15th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, it brings us to special items, which is rezoning Z1919.
Good afternoon. You heard this at your meeting 2 weeks ago on the 17th. Since then, additional conditions and revised conditions have been submitted. There are 3 new and 2 revised. They were in your packet, and I'll also provide a little summary of those. And they are ripe for action if you want to take action today. Alternatively, you can defer action. The public hearing closed on the 17th of September, and so we can accept revised conditions for up to 30 days following that hearing being closed, just so you know where we are in the process. So I think we all know where Rusbus is. So what they've changed, they've modified their affordable housing condition, changing the number of units. So they're changing the minimum. So they're saying no less than 20 units, but 10% if 20 isn't 10%. And they've also extended the period of guaranteeing that they're affordable. The 80% AMI stays the same. They've removed hard coat stucco from their permitted materials. And then they have added a condition about screening to prohibit or limit visibility of vehicles from adjacent streets, limiting visibility of sloped ramps, and also shielding light that may be offcast by the structure. And they have guaranteed that there would be active uses along West Street and along the southern public plaza shared with Raleigh Union Station. And then they have specified that a minimum of 1,000 square feet of eligible building material would be preserved and or repurposed. So that's the status of the conditions. And then they have also this issue of shared parking you discussed at your last meeting. This is not addressed in the conditions, but they have written a letter to the city stating that there will be 175 shared spaces available for rail passengers. Again, that's not part of the zoning conditions. Can I answer questions?
Any questions, staff? Nope. Have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We need to read conditions. Consistency statement.
Sorry.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I'll read it. You're going to read it? I move we adopt a proposed consistency statement dated October 1st, 2019, containing the agenda materials and approve the zoning amendment. So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And thank you all for working with us on our concerns. Appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, city manager.
Mayor and council, we have no report today.
Okay. Takes us to committee reports, economic development, innovation. We have no report. Growth and natural resources.
Yes, Growth and Natural Resources Committee recommends the item be removed. That's TCZ 119 from the pending items and further considered during the continued public hearing, which is scheduled for November 6, 2019. Following the close of the hearing, the committee suggests the applicant consider submitting a condition for a 100-foot buffer, vegetative buffer, on the west and northwest lines of the subject property. That's it.
Can you tell me why you asked for the 100-foot vegetative buffer as opposed to
It was
the
originally
50?
it was originally part of the plan, the original plan, for the 100-foot buffer, and the neighbors had asked if that could stay, since that had been part of the original condition of the zoning.
Okay.
That's why.
I spoke to the DHIC, just wanting to see how that affected the property. I believe they're going to suggest a 70-foot vegetative buffer and a 30-foot no-build, so there'll still be a 100-foot buffer, but they'll come back with that on the 6th.
Yeah, they did suggest that, and we suggested just looking to see, there's nothing on it. Currently, it's been mowed down. The only thing of vegetation is on the edges, so they can arrange the site the way they need to, but they were concerned about fire access, so we asked them to go back and see what would be possible, and that'll come out in the public hearing.
Okay, so this is a motion to hold the public hearing on November 6th?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And
That's it for me, thank you.
nutrient level, oh, that's just
was just
the
a-
informational,
And
okay.
I must say to the stormwater folks, it was a very, very good presentation, and I would suggest if any of you get a chance to look at it, you should. We learned a lot about banking and what all that meant, and the upper news and the lower news, so it was very helpful. I appreciate it very much.
Okay. Healthy neighborhoods?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's no report. I do want to mention that our next scheduled committee meeting will be Tuesday, October 22nd at 4 p.m. in the council chamber. And that's it.
Okay. Let's see, transportation?
No report. October 22nd, 3 o'clock, our council members able to attend. I know we had an issue at the last meeting.
Or let me look real quick. I think I was the issue last time. I think I can do the.
Okay,
22nd.
October 22nd, at 3 o'clock and 3:05.
Thank you.
So, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
actually, I should have asked the same question. We had trouble getting a
Yeah.
quorum last time, and if anyone has a problem with October 27th, just please tell me as soon as possible.
Okay, I'm fine.
Okay, good, thanks.
Mayor, I did forget to mention that the next Growth and Natural Resources meeting is Wednesday, October 16th in the chamber at 4.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then we'll go to reports from mayor and council members. Mr. Cox?
Yes, I just want to say that this former Rochesterian and my wife, who is a native Rochesterian, thoroughly enjoyed North Carolina's first Wegmans. We were there not right when the doors opened, but not too long afterwards. And I have to say, I have never seen in North Carolina such a sea of Buffalo Bills jerseys in the 19 years I've been here. I encourage everyone to be adventurous and venture out and take a look.
Okay. Ms. Stewart?
I just want to give thanks to our transportation staff about the earlier item on the consent agenda regarding mobile ticketing and the ability that that then provides to possibly move forward with fare capping. So I just want to appreciate that and highlight it and look forward to it.
Okay. Mr. Stevenson?
No report.
Okay. Mr. Branch?
Yes, a couple of things. First of all, I understand we had a successful youth summit this past Saturday, so I definitely want to thank our leadership in the police department, the chief, for her leadership in having that, and look forward to thank all staff, because I know it was multi-departmental that participated, and look forward to this being at least annually at a minimum. So that means there's some things that council may need to do to help support and push it forward, and I pray that council steps up at that appropriate time. The other thing I want to mention is at the last council meeting, there was a conversation that unfortunately, due to work I missed, and it was around affordable housing and moving forward with a bond. And we know there is a need. As a council, we constantly say that we have to look at low-income housing and affordable housing. So out of individual conversations that I've had with each of you, Madam Attorney, stay compliant, individual conversations I've had with my fellow council members, I actually would like to make a motion. And my motion is that, there's actually two motions, but here's the first one, is that we place the affordable housing bond matter into healthy neighborhoods to allow community and stakeholder groups to provide input on a future bond, and that staff provide a list of those stakeholder groups to healthy neighborhoods and council for approval.
Okay, I'm not really sure. I don't think we've done it in committee. Usually the staff brings back a recommendation of not just members of the community, but organizations or whatever within the community that have worked on bonds before for our approval. So why would we not go down that road again?
So actually, the motion is for staff to still do that and provide that list, because I ended it with full body council approval of that list, and then that list is provided to the committee and they work together. So this is a way for us to make sure we have a good deep dive into the matter and that we have everything addressed with the stakeholder organizations and community leaders involved.
I think that's a very good idea, Corey.
I support it as well.
I understand the task force side of it and getting that feedback. I'm confused at what point it goes to healthy neighborhoods and how and where that all kind of transpires.
So,
I don't think you said a task force.
yeah, stakeholder group.
Yeah.
So I didn't say a task force, it's a stakeholder group. So that list comes here, we get it, we look at it, and the stakeholder group list is provided to healthy neighborhoods, and then that stakeholder group will work within that committee to look at the bond to go forward.
Well, why wouldn't it come to the group and we have a discussion about who we think it's missing as a council?
Honestly, with all the debate and everything that we've had, I'm looking for a way to move this forward. We have to move this forward. And I think this is a way where we have our stakeholders, we bring them to the table, and we also have, the council working
The
together.
question's not for you, the question's for the council. What is the problem with having staff put together a list and bring it back to us for us to discuss as a whole?
A list of?
Stakeholders to be on this.
I don't think he eliminated that in his, if I'm reading this correctly,
No,
I
I'm
don't think
just-
he eliminated that.
It
I'm not
allows the
sure why it
committee.
needs to go to committee.
Well, I think Councilor Branch said very clearly, and he said this is a way we can work together to compromise to move this thing forward. It's as simple as that.
And take a deep dive.
So what's this compromise all about?
To move, what? Go ahead.
Specifically?
For me, we have, we often hear when you talk to sports, how a house divided. We have a council that's divided on how to move forward. This is a way for us to move the ball forward as a unit. What we're saying is we're identifying that there are stakeholders in the community that want to be part of the process. So we're identifying those stakeholders and we're looking at them as a council. So here's the stakeholders. But we also understand that we want to make sure that the bond, as it's presented, has everything that we need that address from low income to keeping people in place as far as housing. So within healthy neighborhoods, we have a group already that will meet and will convene, and we can bring all of that together. And it gives it more time and more conversation. And that group meets in here, so it also be televised. So that was the purpose of this motion being crafted and shaped the way it's been shaped.
Yeah, so I wasn't at that meeting
Right.
when you brought that up. So, my concern is it gets into committee and just sits there. And this drags on and on and on. This is something that we've needed to do for a while. And we want a bond to be successful, but we also want it to be in a timely manner. So I'd like to have
we put
assurances
yeah.
from the head of the committee that he would move this on.
Sure.
And put some time frame on it.
Well, and I'm happy to put a time frame on it. But I really do believe what Councilor Branch is saying is that this is the way to move forward. And you're saying expedite. Of course, we had a vote last time to move forward that failed. And so now Corey has come back and he said, okay, that didn't work. So now let's try another alternative. It's a committee that has, I would say, balanced opinions. And so I think that's the reason that he's chosen Healthy Neighborhoods, is he thinks that there is going to be an opportunity to do a detailed review of the stakeholder group and talk about how to move it forward, and then bring it back to the full council for discussion. Is that about right?
I just
That
want to
is
ask Robin
my motion.
one question. So we can talk about who will be on this work group, but we cannot promote the bond with, I mean, there's
Correct. You
that
can't
fine
use-
line of,
Yeah, you can't
we
use.
can't use the committee to
Right.
promote the
Can't use
bond.
city funds to
Right.
advocate for the bond or push the bond or that type of thing.
Yeah, and that will come, what that final item is that comes out of the committee, that's where we have the groups to push that bond together. But out of this group, we get the buy-in.
All right, I would say one turn and Healthy Neighborhoods ought to be enough.
So you're
I
putting a
mean,
limitation
we're
on what
putting-
the discussion can be?
No,
Mayor?
I'm saying if we know in essence who the stakeholders are. Staff's going to do a great job. You're going to pull all of that together. How much time do you, I mean, we don't have to send everything to committee.
No, we don't, but I got maybe an alternative, again, a compromise, and that is, let's get the stakeholder group in front of us, and then we can decide how much time should be
No,
allotted in committee.
We're not going to assemble the stakeholder group. We're looking at who is on the list.
That's what I'm sorry. We're going to look at who's on the list, and
Okay.
then we'll decide how long the committee should look at it.
Okay, whatever.
All right.
Okay. We had a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
All right. And the last part is, the second part I want to ask is that staff look, and this may come out of this group, but staff, I like to give staff the ability to explore the possibility of creating a housing commission to deal with various housing issues in the city going forward. This is a commission similar to what we have as far as the BPAC, when we deal with bicycle and pedestrian safety. We have the Go Raleigh Transit Authority, dental transportation. This is something that in the future we could use. So without objection, I would just ask staff to come back with something, possibly by our second meeting in November.
Okay,
Second.
thank you.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion,
Motion?
just a
Okay.
request?
Okay, I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mrs. Crowder? Was that all?
Yep, that's all I have.
Ms. Crowder?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Thompson?
Okay, a couple of items. The first one is that at our first meeting in September, we had approved the NCOD for the Willow Run neighborhood, and I'd like to make a motion at this time to have the city initiate the rezoning needed to complete that NCOD.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right.
Okay,
I'm not done.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I've got a little
Okay.
something to say here today.
Okay.
Just a report from RDU,
Okay.
since I know everybody's interested in the airport and it's such a big part of this community. So for the month of August, more than 648,000 passengers boarded flights at RDU, which is an 11.2% increase over August of last year. This sets an all-time record number of passengers for the month of August at RDU. And in 2018, RDU also set a record high of 12,800,000 passengers, which is an 8% increase over the previous year. That's some amazing numbers. So this increase has moved us from the medium-size airport to large-size airport category for North American airports. And to get the large size, you have to be between 10 and 31 million passengers a year, so we're right in there. The J.D. Powers Company just released their 2019 Airport Satisfaction Survey, and RDU came in 5th out of all the large-size airports in North America for satisfied passengers. And as a reminder, RDU has 62 nonstop destinations and we service 10 different airlines at RDU. So congratulations to RDU from everybody here on the Raleigh City Council. And also, I want to remind you, don't say I didn't tell you so. I'm giving you 1 year's notice. 1 year from today, you have to have, beginning October 1st, 2020, every air traveler 18 and older will need a real ID compliant driver's license or another federally approved form of ID to fly at U.S. airports, including RDU. Passengers who do not have real ID or other forms of ID, such as a valid passport or U.S. military ID, will not be allowed to pass through the checkpoint security.
Got mine.
Got mine too.
Okay.
And lastly, Mr. Cox mentioned about Wegmans opening up, and I would like to just remind everybody that's in District A. It did create kind of a little bit of activity over the weekend with traffic, and I'm sure we're going to be on top of that moving forward. But you know, we do have an election coming up here a week from today. So is it, Ruffin, is it too late to get a polling place in Wegmans? I mean,
We have to direct that question to the Wake County Board of Elections, I believe.
I mean, I understand it was 30,000 people. That's a lot of voters. You know, that might be better than some of our other places we have, especially the day I voted. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. I had a few things. First, I want to say thank you to everybody that was involved in putting on the World of Bluegrass. It was an incredible event. Having the music free at Red Hat Amphitheater was a great idea, and it was just so good to see thousands and thousands of people downtown enjoying them. It was a little hot, but everybody was still enjoying themselves. I wanted to let everyone know that on November 1st, I'm going to do a State of the City address at Raleigh Union Station, since I was kind of out in April when I was going to do it. Also, no one's turned in any questions about the comp plan update, so are you all okay with putting that on the October 15th agenda?
Yes. I'd say yes.
Okay.
So, well, I told you that I've had some conversations with staff about it, so those have been submitted through a meeting with staff, I guess.
Okay. How do the rest of you feel?
And are some of the elements in GNR committee?
Yes,
Okay,
there are a few things in GNR.
okay, so those would, obviously, and I had a retreat conflict last time, so I couldn't be part of that discussion, but I'll ask the chair, do we have time to take up the items that I missed at the last meeting?
Yes, we held it over because you weren't there,
Will
and
that
Dickie
still
wasn't
meet
there.
the mayor's
October
timeline?
15th. We're meeting October 16th. It probably would be best to do it the first meeting in November. That would give enough time.
Okay. Well, we did, I mean, I think we had it set aside on a work session. I was just hoping since nobody had submitted any questions, seemed like we could get it done. But
Some of the questions that we held, because Mr. Thompson and Mr. Stevenson couldn't be at the last GNR meeting, we left open on the calendar for October 16th, so we
Okay.
could fuller
Well,
discuss them.
we'll
November.
readdress it after that. Do you remember when it's calendared for?
Actually, yeah, the work session is also November 12th, so what you could do is put the first iteration on your November 6th meeting, then you would also have the work session,
Okay.
then another meeting. So
Okay.
you would just be starting a little bit sooner, so that
Okay,
could work.
that's good. And then I have one more thing, and I just want to let everybody know that while I was working on bringing the Dalai Lama to Raleigh, I worked closely with a few faith leaders across the city, just talking about the ideas of compassion and relationships and how we could work together to strengthen those across the city. And we're continuing to have the conversations. Of course, we'll hope and he'll come back, but we just really enjoyed those conversations and have continued to talk. And now we're talking with the Human Relations Commission and maybe bringing them in. And it's really about, we pass a resolution saying we are a city of compassion, and so we're going to be getting together later in the month for a kind of a retreat to really talk about what can that look like for a city and what does that really mean to us. So I just wanted to let the council know that we were having those conversations.
Thank you.
Sure. So that takes us to appointments, Madam Clerk.
Appearance Commission, you have 2 vacancies, no nominees. Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission, 1 vacancy. Elizabeth Hester received 5 votes, so would be appointed. Civil Service Commission, 1 vacancy, no nominees. DHIC, Jordan Manus, 4 votes. Historic Cemeteries Advisory Board, 2 vacancies, no nominees. Historic Resources and Museums, Mark Turner received 6 votes, so would be appointed. Raleigh-Durham Airport Authority, Nancy received 3, Ms. Seppi received 4, so that'll be carried over. Transit Authority, 1 vacancy, alternate member, no nominees.
I'd like to nominate Crash Greg.
Excuse me.
I'd like to nominate Crash Greg.
Sister Cities, 2 vacancies.
I'd like to nominate David Kilbride.
Right. Stormwater Management Advisory Commission, 1 vacancy. Councilors Crowder and Stevenson nominated Glenn Taylor. So that will be carried over. The next under nominations, the Appearance Commission. The term of Roth Blizzard III is expiring. He is not eligible due to length of service. So you have 1 vacancy there. The next is Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission, 1 vacancy. The term of Dwight Otwell is expiring. He is eligible and would like to be considered for reappointment.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
DHIC, 1 vacancy. The term of Elizabeth Volts is expiring, and she is not eligible for reappointment due to length of service. And Councilmember Branch has nominated, is it Utica Kaysen? So that will be carried over. The next is Historic Museums and Historic Resources and Museums Advisory Board. The term of Alicia McGill is expiring. She is eligible and would like to be considered for reappointment.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And that's it.
Okay, Madam Attorney?
I have nothing.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
What's the minutes to?
Oh, I'm sorry. You received the minutes of the September 17th work session and regular session for consideration of approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Next, you received a proposed resolution relating to adjusting, rebating, and refunding penalties for property tax, which is recommended for your consideration of approval.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And I have one add-on. During the September 17th council meeting, you declared property at 3109 Tryon Road surplus, and disposition through the upset bid process. You accepted a bid from Reese Coley for $10,000. Everything has been advertised, all legal procedures followed. We did not receive any upset bids, so it's recommended you adopt a resolution authorizing the sale to Ms. Coley, or Reese Coley, for $10,000 plus advertising costs of $506.80.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
That's
Okay,
it.
That's it. A motion is in order to enter closed session pursuant to GS 143-31811A3 to consult with the city attorney to preserve the attorney-client privilege and/or to give instructions concerning the handling and/or settlement of a potential claim. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we will move to closed session. session where we consulted with the city attorney to give instructions concerning the handling and/or settlement of a potential claim. Meeting is adjourned.